नमस्कार, आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत। We would like to welcome you all on 1155th episode of AYUSH SAMRIDDHI. First of all, I would like to communicate my sincere regards and gratitude to all of you who have supported our journey, and this journey is now infinite due to your support, your cooperation, mentorship and guidance. आज हम होम गार्डन के बारे में बात करना चाहते हैं। हर लेडीज का सपना ज्यादा होता है, 75% लेडीज और 25% जेंट्स, जो अपने घर में चाहते हैं कि गार्डन हो। वो गार्डन सुंदरता भी बढ़ाए, वो गार्डन स्वास्थ्य भी प्रदान करे, उसमें लगने वाले प्लांट्स हेल्दी हों और उन प्लांट्स का हम लोगों की लाइफ पर इम्पैक्ट बहुत अच्छा हो। ऐसा सभी आर्किटेक्चर में आदरणीय प्रोफेसर विष्णु प्रसाद शर्मा जी, आदरणीय प्रोफेसर वीके अग्निहोत्री सर का स्वागत करता हूं, दिनेश्वर प्रसाद सर का स्वागत करता हूं। बड़ी सीनियर हस्तियां जुड़ी हुई हैं, जीसी नंदा जी जुड़े हुए हैं, निशांत जी, और ओवरऑल अबव ऑल मैं आज की वक्ता डॉक्टर सुपर्णा सान्याल मुखर्जी जी को नमन करता हूं। मेरी वाइफ ने भी घर में गार्डन बना रखा है, 150 के लगभग प्रजातियां हैं, और इस जुनून तक मोमिता जनूनी है कि भोपाल एयरपोर्ट पे एयरपोर्ट ऑफिसर से एयरपोर्ट पे लगा हुआ प्लांट मांग के ले आई। अब आप सोचो इस लेवल का जुनून। अरे गजब, मैं बड़ा संकोच में था, लेकिन वो ले आई, मैंने उसको दे भी दिया। मैं बड़ा आश्चर्य प्रकट किया। चलिए ठीक है, लेकिन इसीलिए मैं आदरणीय प्रोफेसर विष्णु प्रसाद शर्मा जी को स्वागत प्रवचन के लिए सादर आमंत्रित करता
हूं। नमस्कार, good evening to everybody, respected distinguished guests, eminent speaker, ladies and gentlemen. I, Professor Dr. Vishnu Prasad Sharma, welcome all of you to this AYUSH SAMRIDDHI International Conference Series, Home Garden Tips and Tricks. Most valuable subject today we have. In this webinar, we have eminent speaker. I want to welcome. First, I want to welcome Dr. Suparna Sainal Mukherjee, Associate Professor and HOD, Department of Education, School of Humanities, Siakam Skills University, Bolpur. Namaskar, madam, and welcome you to this AYUSH SAMRIDDHI webinar. Next, I want to welcome Dr. Saikat Kumar Basu, Executive Research Director, Performance Seat, Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. Namaskar and welcome you to this AYUSH SAMRIDDHI International webinar on home garden tips and tricks. Once again, I welcome all the eminent speaker, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to this AYUSH SAMRIDDHI webinar, Home Garden Tips and Tricks. Thank you. Namaskar. Over to Pavanji.
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। अब मैं आदरणीय प्रोफेसर वीके अग्निहोत्री सर को सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं उनके प्राक कथन के लिए।
धन्यवाद। थैंक यू प्रोफेसर पवन शर्मा जी। नमस्कार। हमारे सभी आज के अतिथि वक्ताओं का बहुत बहुत आदर है, स्वागत है, और हमारे इस वेबिनार से जुड़ चुके अभी तक के सभी हमारे अतिथियों का और हमारे गेस्ट, स्पेशली हमारे डिग्निटरीज का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है, उनका आभार है। सब लोग जुड़ते हैं, प्रोफेसर दिनेश्वर प्रसाद साहब का भी, प्रोफेसर निशांत शुक्ला जी का, और आप सब लोग जो आज हमारे अपना ज्ञान देने के लिए उपस्थित हुए हैं। प्रोफेसर लक्ष्मण द्विवेदी जी का भी बहुत बहुत आदरणीय स्वागत है। जैसा कि प्रोफेसर पवन शर्मा जी ने कहा कि होम गार्डन, कितनी भी लोगों का जमीन अगर कच्ची है घर के बाहर तो भी ठीक है, यदि नहीं है तो वो ऊपर से टेरेस पर ले जाके 10, 20, 50 जितना की उसकी टेरेस की या छत की वजन सहने की शक्ति है, सामान्यतः गमलों में या फिर 1-1.5-2 फुट मिट्टी बिछा के क्यारियां बना के भी कुछ कुछ करते हैं। और मैं समझता हूँ ये होता है, ये जो किचन गार्डन बनाना, ये पूर्ण रूप है हमारे किचन हॉस्पिटल का। जैसा कि आप कहते हैं कि किचन हॉस्पिटल के जो फीडबैक है वो तो हमारे किचन गार्डन से ही मिलेगा। धीरे धीरे चाहे वो रोज के रोज मने टमाटर, धनिया, बैगन, मूली जो भी निकालने उस सब्जी के रूप में हो, या हमारे देवी देवताओं को चढ़ाने के लिए पुष्प बनाने के हम अपने फ्लावरिंग प्लांट लगाते हैं, या सौंदर्य बढ़ाने के लिए भी फ्लावरिंग प्लांट बनाते हैं, और कुछ ऑर्नामेंटल होते हैं उनको भी हम लोग उस रूप में संग साथ में रखते हैं, वो साथ में रहते हैं, अच्छा लगता है। तो किचन गार्डन का कॉन्सेप्ट ये है कि हमें एक तो ताजी चीजें मिले, फ्रेश मिले, एडल्ट्रेशन ना हो, और बहुत सारे केमिकल की जो यूरिया वगैरह की खाद डाल के बनाते हैं उसके बजाय कंपोस्ट की खाद है, या बिल्कुल हमारा जो कहते हैं जैविक खाद के सहारे हम घरों में थोड़ा बहुत कर सकते हैं। जैसे यहाँ पे जिस जगह है, तो आज हम वो सब जानकारी प्राप्त करने जा रहे हैं कि किचन गार्डन में आसानी से उपजाए जाने वाले कौन कौन से पौधे, कौन कौन से प्लांट्स हो सकते हैं, क्या उनकी देखरेख है, कैसी प्रकार की उनको मिट्टी वगैरह की आवश्यकता होती है, और कितनी उसके लिए मेहनत चाहिए, क्योंकि प्लांट से अटैचमेंट लगाने वाले का बिल्कुल पुत्रवत या संतानवत होता है कि मेरा एक एक पौधा का अच्छे से पोषण मिले, अच्छे से उसका विकास हो, उसकी बाढ़ कैसी आ रही है, उसमें कोई कीड़ा तो नहीं लग रहा है, उसकी सूखी पत्तियां हटा देनी है, साफ करना, मेंटेन करना, जिससे कि संतानवत उसके संग व्यवहार करते हैं, और तभी हमको उससे जो हमारे किए हुए थोड़ा बहुत परिश्रम जो कि आज के हमारी दिनचर्या के लिए आवश्यक है जीवन शैली में, वो स्वयं भी गुड़ाई करें, स्वयं भी खुरपी लेके बैठते हैं, पत्तियां काटते हैं, साफ करते हैं, तो अलग ही अनुभूति होती है, एक टाइप की फीलिंग आती है। तो ये सब जानकारी अब देने के लिए हम आज के अतिथि वक्ताओं का बहुत बहुत स्वागत करते हैं। इन्हीं सब कुछ प्रारंभिक शब्दों के साथ में आप सबका एक बार पुनः बहुत बहुत स्वागत है, और आगे के संचालन के लिए ओवर टू प्रोफेसर प्रवीण शर्मा जी। नमस्कार।
बहुत बहुत आभार सर, बहुत बहुत आभार। नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू इनवाइट डॉक्टर सुपर्णा सान्याल मुखर्जी। डॉक्टर, वेलकम डॉक्टर, वेलकम। I hope Dr. Shekhar Basu will also join. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks to all the dignitaries to giving me an opportunity to
आप
share
हिंदी
my.
इंग्लिश में भी बोल सकती हैं तो और अच्छा रहे।
अच्छा, ठीक है। To share my points, especially on the home gardening and home garden tricks and tips in this platform. I really thankful to the all dignitaries and the AYUSH SAMRIDDHI. I am emphasizing on today. The point is the home garden and idiocentric worldview. The main topic is the home garden and idiocentric worldview. Home gardening. What is home gardening? Home gardening is a very idiocentric concept altogether. Home gardening refers various types of styles and gardening, depending on performances on the basis of the personal performances and available space. Every individual have the space in their home, and they can nurture the home gardening in their particular aspects and the particular choice. There are several types of home gardening, especially the vegetable gardening, then the kitchen gardening, then the garden bed, the home garden bed, then the organic productive gardening, then the farm gardening, according to every individual space. It's a forming system which can amalgamate it with the physical, social, environmental, religious, socio-cultural, socio-economic, techno-economical aspects. All are amalgamated with the nutshell which they can develop. Every individual can develop in their own made. This amalgamation land around the surrounding area of the particular individual, they can develop their home gardening. What is the main point in this home gardening? Home gardening, it is just because of the cleanliness, just because of the eye soothing factor, then the green development of greenery and the create habitat for the wildlife. At the same time, the flowers to restore the flora, fauna, etc., etc. So, what is the main objectives of this home gardening? It can, the first we can emphasize on that. It can
Madam, you
evaluate.
can share your presentation, what you told me.
I haven't prepared the PPT today because very less time. At the same time, my
On that day, you were telling that I wanted to present PPT.
definitely. Yesterday also, I was wanted to share the PPT, but today I haven't prepared it. But
Okay.
next time, I promise you, next time I definitely share my PPT, and I have learned all the processes, and I definitely share it.
Then you
So
can share your PPT to me. I will show on your behalf if it is there.
okay, then it's all right. Then it's all
Okay.
right. If there is any difficulties arise,
Okay.
the next time I promise you that I will share my PPT.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here it is. What is the main objectives of this home gardening? It can evaluate. It can evaluate the environment to choose suitable plants and trees. At the same way, it can enhance a garden patch for vegetables, for herbs, for shrubs, which can be given the enormous potentiality, the medicinal value, the bonsai system. We can develop it and we can enhance this home gardening. The best plants, if we can choose the best plants where it's not available in the system orientation, the dry deciduous forest system, the temperate zone, wherever we can go, so we can develop our home gardening according to our choice. The home gardening, if we can divide it home gardening in three parameters. Number one, primitive way of home gardening. Number two, indigenous home gardening. Number three, modern home gardening. What is the indigenous or primitive? First is the primitive home gardening. In case of the primitive home gardening, we have seen that the primitive man, they don't know what is the home gardening system, but they can develop the garden system because mm, uh, they were continuing their nomadic life. In that case, the nomadic life, they cannot develop because their brain development was not there, so they don't have the idea to develop the home gardening. What is home gardening? But whatever they needed, they can get it from the near about forest, then surrounding system, and they can develop they can get their fruits, the vegetables, whatever they wanted, they get it. If the scarcity was there, if they don't get the food scarcity, the food scarcity lead them to the one surface to the another surface, so they have to go for the nomad life. But when the nomad life has been restored and the agriculture comes, so they get the settled life. When they are practicing the settled life, at that time they can develop their ideological view. This ideological view has been developed in the indigenous technology. What is the indigenous technology? Now, this indigenous technology, basically, there is some system, the scientific system, though it is not concerned with the scientific method or not, but they can do it by their own way. Number one, the double digging. So when they are producing or yielding the agriculture, doing the agriculture, yielding the crops, they can dig the land in the twice. And when they do the lands twice, that means it can develop the soil fertility. At the same time, making the own concept to compose the accelerators. So they can develop the acceleration process, how speedily they can develop the production of the from the agriculture field. And this agricultural development and agricultural field orientation can give them the more production. And the free plant, then they develop the free plant food. Free plant food, that means those foods are available in the forest ecozone, wherever they are living, and they are sustaining their livelihood, thus can get the food the nearing surface. Then lining the soil. So which type of soil they have to use for which production, the which crop, it is their traditional nature, because traditionally they learned it from their generation. So from their forefathers, the forefathers don't know, don't have the any idea, but still they are sustaining, and they have earned, and they have introduced their knowledge in the specific way. At the same time, they can religious process they can use that to rites, ritual, totem, taboo. This rituals they practice several types of system. Those systems are, though they were maintaining the taboos, those taboos are giving them the right way, because what they have to do and what they don't have, so it is depending upon their taboo system. And these taboos are following by the customs, though they have the customs like in the time of Sharul, they worshipping the shal tree. These shal trees are very specious to them. So these shal trees, when it is the germinating and they are getting the fruits from the shal, flowers from the shal, they can use it for their home production, and they are getting the oil from the shal flower, the shal seed, and it is a very important, and they have the most uses from the shal trees, and which is getting very important plant for their day-to-day life. And then their rituals, their customs, their functions, their ceremonies, all are depending upon this subject. So that is the corporation. That means they are cooperating with the neighboring society with their traditional way of method. And then the sowing straight into the soil. So how they can prepare their soil, it is also their indigenous technology. Then and by this way, they are forming their society, and they are taking the more responsibility how to form and how to develop their socio-cultural aspects, and the same way the socio-economic parameters. Because everyone living in the territorial Nikkei. So this territorial Nikkei is identified for them, because the particular territorial Nikkei where they are surviving and they are residing, it is the forest land, the forest-based tribes, especially they are originating from the forest, and forest-dwelling tribes are maintaining all the types of necessary rituals, rites for this indigenous methods. Then the modern techniques has come. When the modern techniques has come, so planting by the moon. Planting on moon, it is the modern technique which is practicing that the tribes are also practicing planting by the moon. So what they are doing, so it is known as the biodynamic plantation. Biodynamic plantation, they are not using the sunlight, but at the moonlight, they are practicing the home gardening system, just because of to saving time. Because if they are doing and practicing agriculture the day from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m., after completion of the 5 p.m., then when they are returning back in the home, they can started the home gardening for the better yielding, for getting the better benefit. This benefit they are doing for their sustaining livelihood. Then the aquaponics. Aquaponics they are also doing. They are getting ponds, and they can make a well in their surrounding system, the spaces which is available over there with the fishes, they can generate plants. Those plants are also very hygienic and also very important for the good health. The same way, companion planting. They are also using the companion planting in the way of the neighboring society. They are involving the neighboring society. Like if I can yield. Some type of home gardening in the if I can produce the potatoes, so whatever land is available to me, and someone is yielding or someone is doing this other crops, so they can exchange that, they can maintain the companion to get the better formation, to get the better production, to get the better identification. So the amalgamation is there in the companion planting. Next, it is the container planting. Container, they can use any type of container, especially the mud container, then the container, whatever is available for their their material culture, they can use it for the planting and can develop their plantation system. Then the conventional planting, in the convention they are maintaining the ritualistic way. Like the I have discuss for the sacred group. When the sacred group is developing, they that maintain the container, at the same time conventional planting, in the way they can get the proper benefit, the better benefit. Next, it has come the values and the home gardening. What is the values of the home gardening? Everyday life, when we are getting into the home and we can getting out of the home, we have the it is a aesthetic view or aesthetic sensation. What the aesthetic sensation? Home is giving us the shelter. The shelter where we are surviving. The shelter we are giving us the good sleeping, good thinking, good reasoning, good identification. So every shelter has a specific identity. That's why we are making the positivism. So when we are introducing the positivism, home gardening is have a ethical values. These values are worshipping. Home is a temple to us. If we can think our mind and body is a temple, and we are residing in a temple, that is the home, and that home will give us the positivism, our everyday life sustenance capacity, everyday life generating capacity, everyday positivism, the better work, better formation, better life, better thinking, better sustenance of the self-orientation. So home is a place where we can develop ourselves from the day one, when we are come in this world, from the day last when we will go from the here. So this is the home is a system. So no one can leave their home, because it is the temple to them. Because we are, if we can think, our body and mind is the soul, and our soul is a purification of the sustaining livelihood status. So we need a place where we have to stay safe and the proper way. That is the home gardening system. And this home gardening system nowadays, if we can go to the Joint Forest Management and Forest Protection Committee, which has been introduced. At the same time, if we can see to it that the local people, those who are related with the Department of Forest, that they are producing the crops, especially the sal, then the mahul, pial, then the arjun. There are several medicinal plants which is maintaining and which are getting the proper benefit, which have the proper benefit in the medicinal point of view, at the same time the wooden point of view, the ethical point of view, at the same time the all orientation. So we can get the people can look after those plants as their home system, because if they can give the protection of those plants, when the failing will come, so they will get the usufruct. This usufruct is benefited to them through the community development system. And in this way, we can develop the joint forest management, then the forest protection committee, who are maintaining their sustained livelihood, who are maintaining the forest, at the same time they are protecting the forest, they are restoring the forest, they are giving the enormous potentiality in the forest to get the better benefit for their daily sustenance livelihood. So this is the main thing of home gardening. If we can think the surrounding where we are nowadays, the one term is we are using, we are living in a global village. So when we are living in a global village, so every village has the self identity and the self orientation and the self self importance. So we should respect our neighbor, then we can deserve the respect from our neighbor. So home gardening system is a wide purpose, and we can develop home gardening in each and every corner of our space, wherever we can get the space in our the home system, whatever space is available, maybe the terrace, maybe the baranda, maybe the room where we are living. So those plants which are giving us the oxygen. So if we can keep it in the a few plants in our home, so we can get the better oxygenation. So this is good for our health. We can develop our mental stability, we can develop our sustaining livelihood, we can develop our thinking capacity, we can get the positivism from these plants. And so hence it is the idiocentric worldview. So in worldview, if we can think that it is we are living in a global village, so we can develop our home is a globalized, and that globalization will give us the more positivism in our livelihood system. Thank you very much. Thanks to all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your flow and content both are mesmerizing, madam. Mesmerizing. No doubt. Great. Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
Agniotri, sir.
Really rightly told by you that flow and content, not only that whatever the things are there, how to mechanize them in a language form as a narration, that the words which you use, that it also leads to cleanliness. This is very important. A person who is doing gardening, making in mind that whatever the garbage is there will be kept properly at site, so that the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan will also be at the same time be observed in the same manner. Apart from the fruits of the whole work in a form of vegetables or fruits or flowers, whatever it is, and it's an involvement. It's a physical involvement along with the mental peace. A wonderful thing is that to go for home gardening and get the results. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
you. Over to Professor Point Sharma.
Now I would like to request Dr. Sakat Vasu. Welcome, Dr. Sakat. And after this, roasted chestnuts. This way, welcome, welcome. Please unmute.
Thank you, Professor Sharma. Thank you for inviting me to this August platform. My heartiest congratulations to Professor Suparna Sandal Mukherjee for giving a very nice outline of home gardening from a very global perspective and also from the indigenous perspective. So I'm not going to repeat the stuff that she has already very nicely explained. I'm going to talk about mainly the different types of home gardening that are becoming popular around the world and their consequences, mostly strategies. So Madam has already talked about home gardening, so I'm not going through the basics, but I'm going to highlight various types of home gardening. So the traditional home gardening that we see, that has been very common with India and in any country in South Asia or across Asia, Africa, Latin America, or that matter of fact in any country around the world where there is human settlement and where there is tropical or subtropical climate to grow plants throughout the year, is your kitchen garden. That's a very common concept that has been present throughout our history, and most countries, whether it is in UK, whether it's in Russia, whether it is season based or whether this is restricted only to summer, depending on which latitude and longitude you are located, what kind of altitude that you are located. Seasonal flowers, fruit, vegetables are a very consistent part of our home gardening concept and has been there for a long time. But adding to this, another kind of gardening is available, is called community garden, which is very common in Cuba. Now, as we know that like long time back, when during that Cuban missile controversy, there was a big clash between United States and Russia at that particular point of time in the 70s. And there was a big blockade of Cuban waterways and airspace at that time. So Cuba was restricted to find own resources for doing gardening and cultivating, for feeding the people, for resorting to food security. And what they came up with an ingenious idea was community gardens. So every big park, city gardens, every available space in city and rural areas, which is not directly associated with agricultural production, they converted into community gardens. So what is the community garden concept? The community garden concept is that it is a space that is provided by the government, because it has been a communist government. So this is not land which is owned by any particular individual or a group, but it is provided by the government for each different community. It's something as we have in big complexes as community halls, right? There are big apartments and apartment complexes, and we had big community halls where you can have worships, pujas, or where we have a lot of birthday and other kind of celebrations. A community garden is dedicated garden for a particular community where they grow extensive agriculture in order to support the economy and the food security of the people throughout the year. So they usually grow a lot of trees, fruit trees, there are included orchards. The space between those trees are filled up with land crops, which could be legumes, various kinds of beans. There could be flower production, any edible food crop that could be grown in a small space, found space within this community garden and became a star production system and an organic agricultural system extremely popular in Cuba. And from that, it spread to other Latin American countries, particularly in various parts of South America. And it's also became popular in Africa too, where they could afford, where community lands were converted into orchards and gardens together. The space within these gardens were utilized in such a way that both could use in very different form extensively the land that they could have. There could be an irrigation canal passing through that particular garden, and they would use the water, and then they will grow all kinds of vegetables which are commonly available, or that which could grow across the seasons, or different seasonal fruits and vegetables, along with annual, perennial, biennial herbs, shrubs, and trees. So these garden or community gardens or the kitchen gardens are not for ornamental purposes. They usually don't go beautiful flowers and stuff, but these are mostly vegetable crops, food crops, fruit orchards that became a very consistent part. And later on, it became a part of subsistence farming in Africa, in various parts of South America. So this is one kind of lab which is very similar to our kitchen garden. Recently in West Bengal, there is a group that is working on a very nice project, and they have named it nutrition garden. So what is a nutrition garden? Usually people in the rural areas suffer from protein deficiency. Usually they do not have quite a bit of cash in their hand, but they are abundantly blessed with land, water resources, cows, etc., so that they have milk. They can grow the rice and wheat throughout the year, which partly they sell and partly they use for their consumption. And all, if they have land, they can grow vegetables and all other resources, partly of which they can sell and partly they are consuming for their home purpose. But under these circumstances, and they have rivers and lots of ponds, water bodies from where they would usually catch fishes, so as they would supply as their cheap source of protein. But still, ladies, young children, senior citizens in this particular area, particularly marginal farmers who do not hold water bodies or ponds of their own or have lands of their own, usually suffer from particularly protein deficiency because they do not have access to protein like fishes, or they cannot afford meat, and even they do not grow much vegetables. They work in another people's land as marginal farmers or workers. So this community nutrition garden is a concept that has very coming up in southern West Bengal in many communities, where they are growing vegetables in those particular gardens throughout the year. And what are these? It could be like they intermix a lot of different kinds of vegetables. It could be tomato, lettuce finger, various kinds of cabbage, lettuce, and even high yielding and high quality lettuce that is also bought by several of the garden. They are also coming up with a section of them growing, doing mushroom cultivation, a part of which they are using and a part of which they are selling, and they intercropping them, or they are doing a crop rotation with a number of legume crops. Why they are using legume crops? Legume crops, which includes beans and various other forms of protein rich products like our pulses, dals and other things, soybean and everything, which partly they sell and partly they consume, and this supplement to their protein deficient diet. So where they are unable to have fish every 3 or 4 times a day, or they cannot afford meat 3 or 4 times a week, they usually have eggs, because they are growing poultry in those particular part. But they are also using this nutrition garden where they are having vegetables grown, and they are supplementing them with a lot of their protein deficiency because of this. So this is a new concept which has been popular in West Bengal and other adjoining eastern Indian states. It's slowly taking form, but it is also available in other parts. Another form of home gardening, which we call is corporate garden, is if you go into any cities, right? Like the municipalities or the corporations take responsibility in the ornamentation of the city. So they will decorate the avenues, they will decorate the boulevards with beautiful flowering plants or herb shrubs or trees, or there are parks in every cities and towns in India that are maintained by those municipalities and corporations, where they will grow trees, where there will be walking space for people. Children can go there. You can go for morning walk and stuff. This is quite common. This has been known for quite some time. But now these city parks, boulevards are also being maintained by big corporate houses as a way of returning something back to the cities in which they are doing business. So, for example, in many parts of the both in developed and underdeveloped as well as developed countries, big multinational companies or big industries sponsor large city parks and gardens, where the maintenance and their cost of bearing all the plants and everything is being maintained by a particular agency, which is not necessarily a government agency. In most cases, they are non-government agencies. For example, even in burial grounds, like particularly which has a lot of areas in Christian burial ground or Muslim burial grounds, now there has been a lot of nice practice in which people are having a lot of opportunities of growing a lot of trees, orchards, flowering plants. In Western countries, if you visit any Christian burial ground, they are very beautifully decorated. There are tombstones, there are graves of people in between, but along the part, it is almost like a green park, which is adorned with seasonal flowering plants, perimeter trees and stuff. It is spectacularly beautiful, so that the concept is where your last remains go into rest. That should not be a desolate place. That should be ornamented with natural vegetation, should look beautiful, so that people can come and pay their respect. So this is a very great concept that has not been done as so beautifully as in developed countries. But if you now visit various, particularly within the city areas, if there are cemeteries or burial grounds, both for the Christian and the Muslim communities, the care has been taken in the ornamentation of that. And that's also a kind of home gardening. And this is sponsored by various Christian associations, Waqf board, or organizations that are in charge of the cemeteries and stuff. They are also spending a part of their collection or their donations into beautifications of these areas, and it is greatly appreciated. In various other towns, you would see water bodies or adjoining water canals that usually smell boggy with not a very nauseating smell, particularly because of eutrophication, collection of wastage, fertilizers, and all these things that add and make foul smell. In a lot of cities around India, as I'm aware, and also in other countries, the beautification of those adjoining canals, which could be sewage canals, which could be irrigation canals, big canals, beautifications of them has been taking part. The municipalities and corporations are spending big money as a part of the smart city and town concept, or as a part of the beautification of the process, because plants actually work as very good phytoremediators. They are capable of absorbing toxic metabolites from this water, making them look beautiful and cleaning up the environment. This concept has also come up into considerable parts of the world, and it is also being practiced in India quite successively. And many of these are also sponsored not only by the municipalities and corporations, many industries, many non-government organizations are also sponsoring such city parks and gardens as a part of reducing the load of pollution, as a part of beautification of cities and towns. And it is becoming popular both in urban and rural areas where free spaces could be used for such kind of a gardening. The other gardening that is also getting popular is the roof garden. As you could know that many people use the rooftop in cities, particularly where we do not have enough space for gardening, particularly those who live in apartments and are interested in having gardening. It is quite difficult to do those. So in Mumbai and other areas, various apartment blocks or big complexes have been collecting rainwater, and they are utilizing this in growing a lot of plants on the rooftop. Another concept is called aquaponics, where they will grow fish and vegetables together. So fishes are grown on fish tanks, and the waste material from the fish tanks is passed into vegetable water tanks, and these plants are grown exclusively on water materials. A little bit of micronutrients are sometimes added to add vitality to the soil, to the water, but these are completely grown on water, particularly utilizing fish waste coming from fish tanks. It is called aquaponics or hydroponics. It's also getting very, very much popular in many countries like Australia, New Zealand, where they do not have much agricultural land, and people are utilizing them for having their regular need of leafy green vegetables, tomatoes, lettuce, and other things, various spicy herbs that can be grown very easily on this water. This is also becoming popular. The other very popular part, in addition to roof garden, people have been growing a lot of fruit trees, bamboo trees, orchards on tubs, on cement basins, and all kinds of stuff, and seasonal flowering plants, which is a very common hobby for many people, and it's an outstanding roof garden that many have. Some of the places I have seen people have exclusive cactus garden that they have made on the roof, on at least 20 to 30 different species of cactus. India being a very hot country, it is quite easy that with minimal use of moisture, if you collect various species of cactus, and they have spectacular flowers, and people are growing them. Various species of cactus grow in various conditions. Some will grow in the some will like to grow in places where there are less temperature. Otherwise, they would like to grow in hotter temperature, very easy to maintain, and many members of cactaceae which are just could be cultivated by grafting. Like you cut a slice of the plant and stick it on a pot, and even if the pot does not contain enough nutrients and stuff, you will see cactus are extremely efficient in utilizing minimal nutrient soil, and that could start growing. And for all these roof gardenings and our balcony gardening that we do, in addition to using synthetic fertilizers, you can decompose your kitchen waste in a designated part of the roof or a designated part of your backyard kitchen. Use them as a part of, like, it could be vegetables, thrown away vegetables, waste food product, fish bones, or any other thing that could be. You dug a hole, put them together, cover it with soil, and after 6 months, when you dig it up, you get very rich fertilizer, organic compost that can be added to the pots, and they survive pretty good on this part. A little bit of irrigation has to be maintained depending on what kind of plants you are growing. And if you are looking for seasonal flowering plants, then you need to know when to seed them, what are the specific water requirements that you need, and what are their particular fertilizer requirement. It takes a little time to get used, just like some people have the hobby of maintaining aquarium fishes. If you are novice and if you are starting an aquarium hobby, you will see most of the fish that you are buying, they are either not surviving, or they are not breeding, or they are not growing very well. It takes time and patience to line out or find out what are the intricacies or the techniques that you need to follow. Very simple basic methods that you need to follow to increase your success in fish breeding, if you are in the aquarium industry, or you are a hobby aquarist. But at the same time, this is same applies for gardening too, home gardening too. It could be in your lawn, it could be your kitchen garden, it could be your roof, it could be your balcony, it could be your small hanging succulent plants that some people like putting them inside your drawing room, or out, particularly there are some friendly plants that we love, particularly the succulents, which are very easy to maintain. You need a little bit of water, a little bit of moisture, and you put it on the sunlight on the verandas, and they'll start growing very beautiful lush green vegetation. Sometimes you can add a little foliar nutrition. These are chemical packages that are available very easily in any fertilizer shop. You need to mix it with half a liter or 1 liter of water, prepare a dilute solution, and with a sprayer spray them on the plant directly on the leaf surface, on the stem. Sometimes you do not even need to put them on the soil, and you would be able to see lush green thunderous good vegetation that is coming up. And last but not least, the concept of pollinator garden has come up, particularly with respect to home gardening, in order to support bees, moths, butterflies, and various other pollinator-friendly insects that visits our garden. There has been promotion all over the world that grow seasonal flowers throughout the season, bright colored flowers that produce a lot of nectaries, cheap. They're easily available now in every market shop and stuff, and you can grow them, put the seeds, you can put them in as stem grafts or leaf grafts, let them allow to grow. They produce beautiful flowers, very good for eyes, and they are spectacular in attracting bees. If you have it in a corner of your roof, they are usually a bit of shade loving. So if there is a little bit of shade, and if you keep a small pail of water where the bees would come and take a little rest and like to suck a little bit of water, they will come, move back and forth. That not only helps in pollination, it's also very educational, and it's aesthetically very pleasing. Like in the early morning, when the sunlight has just been gone, and during this winter, when you are enjoying a little bit of warmth of the sun in around 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning, and if you are with your newspaper and a cup of tea, how beautiful it is to see your brightly colored flowers are visited by a large number of buzzing bees, moths, butterflies, these colorful insects that will come and add to the glory, particularly for the education of the insects, particularly for the education of, not the insects, I'm sorry, for the education of the kids. These are being extensively applied and being encouraged for kids in the schools, particularly in Western countries, and it is taking quite shape now in various primary level schools. Then there were kitchen garden, make your own garden, make your own pollinator garden, make your own bee garden kind of a concept, where the students are planting their own plants, and then they are being taught, see, once the plants that you have planted, and once they start producing flowers, how they are dragging pollinators, and you are not only doing gardening and enjoying the beauty and aesthetics of flowering and gardening, but also doing an ecological service by providing pollen and nectaries to a number of our environment-friendly or farmer-friendly insects like bees and various other pollinators. So all these different kinds of garden and garden concepts, as well as simple techniques, are available. It is up to your passion, which one you want to pick and pursue. You can do an intermix of both. You can take any one of them as your hobby. You can some are interested only doing pollinator garden, some are interested in doing orchid gardens, things like that. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate. Concluding my lecture with
कितनी नॉलेज है आपके अंदर, गजब गजब, अरे गजब है, गजब है, गजब। अरे बाप रे बाप, बोलना शुरू करते हो तो गजब है, गजब है। अग्निहोत्री सर।
Thank you, Professor Sharma, and great thanks to Dr. Sekat Basu sir. Wonderful presentation. What I feel that our IRES platform has got a peculiar type of approach that whatever we start on any topic, the pleasant and unique aspect of this whole webinar concept, that we reach far off starting from the main topic. We were just starting with the kitchen garden, and we reached to the life of bees and butterflies, that whenever they will come on the plants we have planted, the situation, the morning tea, a cup of tea with a early morning in the lawn or the site of the kitchen garden, it gives a lot of mental pleasure. Or we can see that how beautiful the situation is when the plants are growing, which has been planted by us, giving some flowers, giving attraction to the bees and flies. Wonderful approach. This is beyond. And moreover, we started with the kitchen garden and we reached to the hydroponics and aquaponics. This is really a new terms and new concept. Cultivating fishes along with the plant. Thank you so much. Over to Pawan.
जी सर, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच। वो अभी नेक्स्ट वेबिनार में हम चेस्टनट के बारे में जानेंगे दोनों वक्ताओं से। उसके पहले हमारे यूट्यूब के हिंदी दर्शकों के लिए थोड़ा सा मैं 10 मिनट लेना चाहता हूं, जिससे थोड़ी और बातें क्लियर हों। कई प्लांट्स हम लगा सकते हैं, वो बेनिफिट तो हम जानते ही हैं, ऑक्सीजन वगैरह ये सब ठीक है। कई तरह के लैंडस्केप्स हैं, अलग अलग तरह के, वो भी एक सामने आ जाते हैं। पूरी इंडस्ट्री इसकी लैंडस्केपिंग की है, गार्डन की। उसके बाद में आना चाहता हूँ होम गार्डन पर। साइट एनालिसिस अलग अलग, बिल्कुल मतलब गार्डन के नाम से दिल खुश हो जाए ऐसे ऐसे गार्डन है। प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सिंप्लिसिटी, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ बैलेंस, सिमेट्रिकल डिजाइन, मतलब इतने तरह से इसका साइंस, इसकी साइंस ही पूरी डेवलप हो चुकी है। अब ये प्रिंसिपल बैलेंस, एसिमेट्रिकल डिजाइन ये समझा तो नेक्स्ट उसमें हम आदरणीय सुपर्णा जी से समझने का प्रयास करेंगे, सैकत जी से, सुपर्णा जी से। तो ये प्रिंसिपल ऑफ रिदम एंड लाइन, ये सब अलग अलग ऐसे सुंदर प्रिंसिपल हैं कि हमें तो आगे समझना है। हमारी भूख बढ़ गई इसको देख के। नंबर 1। नंबर दूसरा, हाँ देखिए, नंबर दूसरा, मैंने कुछ कंपाइल किया जितना मैंने छोटी बुद्धि से समझ पाया। एडवांटेज ऑफ किचन गार्डन तो डेफिनेटली है ही है, क्योंकि हम लोग ये एडमिट करते जाएंगे तो बड़ी कृपा होगी, क्योंकि वो स्क्रीन को ब्लॉक करते हैं।
कर रहे हैं।
तो वो एडवांटेज है, कई फूल मिले, फल मिले, जैसा अग्निहोत्री सर पहले ही बोले थे। एक फॉर्मल गार्डन है, एक इनफॉर्मल गार्डन है। तो जो एक जैसे प्लान है पेपर पे बनाया और फिर बाद में अपन ने लैंड ली, वो तो पॉसिबल है नहीं शहरों में। तो इनफॉर्मल गार्डन ही ज्यादा बनते हैं जो कि हमारी लैंड में फिट हो जाए। टाइप्स गार्डन बहुत सारे हैं, वेजिटेबल गार्डन, फ्लावर गार्डन, कंटेनर गार्डन, ऑर्गेनिक गार्डन,
आपके
वर्टिकल
स्लाइड्स
गार्डन।
बंद हो गए? आपके स्लाइड्स बंद हो गए क्या? स्लाइड्स बंद हो गए, स्क्रीन ब्लैक हो गया।
अभी ठीक हो गया।
अब आया?
अभी आ गया
जी, आ गया, ठीक है,
आया?
आ गया।
तो साइट सिलेक्शन के यदि नाम से हम जाएं तो बैकयार्ड ऑफ हाउस जो हमारा है, प्रेफरेबली ओपन एरिया, जैसा छत पर सैकत जी ने और सुपर्णा जी ने दोनों ने बताया। साइज और शेप डेफिनेटली हमारी जो अवेलेबिलिटी होगी लैंड की उसी पे डिपेंड रहेगा। आदमी कितने हैं और कौन इसके लिए टाइम निकाल सकता है। मैंने कहा जनरली पुरुष इसके प्रति ज्यादा बेरुख होते हैं और महिलाएं इसके प्राण से ज्यादा मानती हैं, कि वो पति से भी लड़ जाती हैं कि मेरे प्लांट को नुकसान कैसे हो। क्या क्या उगा सकते हैं, जैसी जगह हो उसके हिसाब से। तो ये भी एक हरग है। मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स में बहुत सारे उगा सकते हैं, कंटकारी है, घृत कुमारी है, पुदीना है, तुलसी है, ओम मल्ली, किलनली, बहुत सारे प्लांट्स हैं जो वेटिवर है। फ्लावर्स तो है ही, हम जानते हैं। ट्री आज लगाने की जनरली कॉलोनीज में जगह है या सोसाइटीज में जगह है, इंडिविजुअल घरों में बहुत कम जगह बची है। यदि हम लेआउट किचन गार्डन का बनाए तो वो अब जितनी जगह है उसी के हिसाब से बाकी सब सिद्धांत धरे रह जाते हैं। लेकिन एक सिद्धांत काम आता है कि हम उस गार्डन को ऑर्नामेंटल अकेला न रखते हुए कम से कम अपनी जरूरतों के हिसाब से बनाए, जिसमें ऑर्नामेंटल भी हो, फ्रूट्स भी हो, आपके मेडिसिन भी हो। जो अग्निहोत्री सर ने कहा कि हमें कहीं जाने की जरूरत ना पड़े, हम अपने गार्डन में चले जाएं। अब अलग अलग प्लांटिंग की है, स्पेसिंग कितनी होनी चाहिए, तो ये भी यहाँ बताया कि भाई 60x45 सेंटीमीटर, ये इन बातों का ध्यान रखते हुए हमें प्लांटेशन करना चाहिए कि हर प्लांट की एक सेल्फ सफिशिएंट स्पेस होनी चाहिए। मेंटेनेंस यदि कहें, बात कहें, इरिगेशन तो जब लगे तब देना ही चाहिए, रोज के हिसाब से नहीं। लेकिन फर्टिलाइजर फर्टिलाइजर ये भी एक कॉम्प्लेक्स फर्टिलाइजर की बात की। यदि डिकम्पोज किचन वेस्ट है तो वो सभी में डाल दो, और कॉम्प्लेक्स फर्टिलाइजर है तो 5 ग्राम पर प्लांट में। मैं नहीं जानता, ये एट 30, 60 एंड 90 डेज ऑफ प्लांटिंग, ऐसा नहीं कि रोज 30, 1 महीना, 2 महीना और 3 महीने पे ये 5 ग्राम फर्टिलाइजर कॉम्प्लेक्स डालना चाहिए। वीडिंग जब लगे तब, हार्वेस्ट जब कलर चेंज है ग्रीन से येलो, तो उसको फिर खोद देना चाहिए, जिससे उसकी मिट्टी सॉफ्ट हो जाए और वो ऑक्सीजन भी ले सके, पानी भी ले सके। प्लांट प्रोटेक्शन, जो कचरा है, उसके खरपतवार उगी है, उसको हटा दीजिए, और टॉक्सिक केमिकल का स्प्रे बंद कीजिए, जिससे आपके घर में भी वो टॉक्सिन न पहुंचे। ऑर्गेनिक मेथड प्लांट प्रोडक्शन की हमारी बड़ी अच्छी है। नीम की तेल भी है, नीम की निवोली का जो एक्सट्रैक्ट है वो भी है, पंचगव्य भी है। ऐसे बहुत सारे हमारे पास वो चार चीजें हैं। अब हमको फावड़ा, कुदाली, खुरची, खुरपी ये सब लेना ही पड़ेगा, तो ये हमारे साधन पहले से पूरे होने चाहिए। ये एक शॉर्ट में मैंने इसका कंपाइलेशन किया, और एक और कंपाइलेशन में उसका हुआ, जिसमें ये मालूम पड़ा कि कोई स्क्वायर फीट मेथड है। इसकी भी एक अलग स्क्वायर फीट मेथड है, जिसमें हम केवल स्क्वायर फीट के हिसाब से प्लांट उगाते हैं, लकड़ी में, लकड़ी के बॉक्सेस में। तो आज की डेट में तो वो बोतलों में भी उगाया जा रहा है, जैसा सैकत जी ने, सुपर्णा जी ने कहा। और हम दीवार को भी पूरा वर्टिकल गार्डनिंग में यूज कर सकते हैं। दीवार के ऊपर में अंडमान गया था, वहां दीवार पे चढ़ने वाला ऐसा पेड़ लाया कि वो मेरी तो छोड़िए, पड़ोसी की दीवार पे भी चढ़ गया। वो पूरी दीवार उसने मतलब इतना सुंदर वो क्रीप है कि वो पूरी दीवार कवर कर ली। वहां के 5 स्टार से एक छोटी सी डगाली तोड़ के हम लोग लाए थे, और वो लगा दी तो इतनी बढ़ गई कि आप पूछिए।
अरे की रे भाई।
तो फिर आदरणीय अग्निहोत्री सर से इसमें और किसी के उदाहरण हो, नहीं तो हम चेस्ट
सर
नट की।
सर सर हम बड़ी बड़ी श्रद्धा के साथ आदरणीय वैद्य कमलेश कुमार शर्मा साहब को आमंत्रित करना चाहेंगे। वो जुड़े थे, उन्होंने कई बार अपना वो वीडियो भेजा है जिसमें उन्होंने स्वयं में मेहनत करके, मतलब एक बहुत बड़ा टेरेस पर किसी का बनाया हुआ है, कम से कम 150-200 सब्जियों वाले भी और प्लांटिंग है, और वो आए भी थे। हमने उसी समय याद किया था कि उनसे भी चर्चा करेंगे। आदरणीय कमलेश वैद्य कमलेश शर्मा साहब
नहीं
अगर
है, अभी
उपलब्ध
नहीं
हैं
है,
या फिर अभी
अभी
निकल
नहीं
गए,
है।
उन्होंने वीडियो, हाँ वीडियो भी डाला था। बहुत आपने कहा ना महिलाएं
आप
अधिक काम
वीडियो
करती है,
आपके
उन्होंने
व्हाट्सएप में है?
वीडियो में
वीडियो
व्हाट्सएप
आप,
पे होगा। यस यस यस,
हाँ तो आप शेयर करिए ना।
मैं अभी भेज देता हूँ जी। हाँ,
शेयर
और तो
करिए, शेयर
बहुत
वहीं से शेयर करिए, उस वीडियो को चला दीजिए।
अच्छा
जूम में
अच्छा
शेयर
अच्छा
है
इसमें,
आपके, आप होस्ट हैं।
अच्छा अच्छा। तो उन्होंने, मतलब मैं ये कह रहा था कि आपने महिलाओं की बात कही, वो पुरुष होकर पूरी मेहनत करते हैं और बहुत अच्छा उन्होंने बनाया हुआ है। अरे कहाँ जा रहा है? हाँ, वैद्य। हम्म, कहाँ गया?
कोई बात नहीं सर, आ जाए तो अगली वेबिनार में हम चला
हाँ
लेंगे।
आप कंटिन्यू करिए ना, इतने हम समझे। अच्छा आप
एंड हो रहा है अब तो, एंड हो रही है
अच्छा
वेबिनार, चेस्टनट पे
अच्छा
आ रहे
अच्छा,
हैं।
नहीं नहीं, कुछ शब्द आप बोलते रहिए, मैं देख रहा था उनके ही
मैं
अकाउंट। जी जी हाँ, जिससे कि
जी, स्वागत है।
कंटिन्यूटी बनी रहे। मैं सर्च करने लगा, जस्ट मिनट।
मैं जस्ट थोड़ा ऐड कर रहा हूँ कि ये जो होम गार्डनिंग है, जैसे कोई भी हॉबी हो ना, उसे आप थोड़ा लगन और मेहनत चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं है कि ये इतना भी इजी नहीं है कि आप पौधे लगाओगे और सुंदर सा फ्लावर आपके आने शुरू करेंगे और 2 ही दिन में आपका गार्डन हरा भरा हो जाएगा। पहले जो जो लोग इसमें एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, इट लीड्स टू अ लिटिल ऑफ फ्रस्ट्रेशन इन द बिगिनिंग, कि आप देखोगे आपके पौधे मर रहे हैं, चिड़िया आके उसे खा रहे हैं, कीटे लग रहे हैं। तो इट टेक्स अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ प्रैक्टिस, थोड़ा पढ़ाई करना चाहिए। इस पे थोड़ा इंटरनेट पे जाइए, देखिएगा हर तरह की प्लांट्स कैसे यूज करना चाहिए, उसके फर्टिलाइजर्स क्या होना चाहिए, उसका केयर कैसे लेना चाहिए। ये थोड़ा इट टेक्स अ लिटिल टाइम, तो थोड़ा लगन और मेहनत से जो अगर इसे लगे रहे तो दिस इज अ वेरी रिवॉर्डिंग हॉबी, पर्टिकुलरली फॉर दोज हु आर रिटायर्ड और जो कंप्लेन करते हैं ना मेरे पास करने के लिए कुछ है नहीं। तो गार्डनिंग इज अ बहुत ही अच्छा हॉबी जो आपके टाइम भी लेगा, और आप अगर पौधे से प्यार करते हैं तो आपके दिन कैसे कटेंगे आपको पता नहीं चलेगा। और एनी पीपल ऑफ एनी एज कैन डू दैट, एंड इट इज ऑल्सो वेरी गुड एक्सरसाइज। आप ऐसे वो सारे फावड़े भवड़े ऐसे लेकर आप जो काम करेंगे, वो गार्डन में हो, रूफटॉप में हो, और जैसे जैसे आप पेड़ और पौधे के ऊपर आपका प्यार या लगन मेहनत जैसे बढ़ेगा, और जब उसमें फ्लावर आएंगे, जब उसके सुंदर सा लीव्स आपको देखने को मिलेगा, उससे एक अलग ही सेटिस्फेक्शन मिलता है। ये कहा जाता है कि विद गार्डनिंग हार्ट डिजीज के लिए वगैरह वगैरह ऐसे जिस लोगों के प्रॉब्लम है, या डिप्रेशन, एंजाइटी, ये सब लोगों जो जो सफर करते हैं, उसके लिए गार्डनिंग बड़ा ही अच्छा एंगेजिंग एक्टिविटी है। लेकिन थोड़ा लगन मेहनत, थोड़ा पेशेंस चाहिए। हमारे में ये है कि आज हम पौधा लगाते हैं और सोचते हैं कि कल ही ये जैसा बोटेनिकल गार्डन जैसा सुंदर बन जाएगा। वो सुंदर बनाने के लिए थोड़ा तो मेहनत करना पड़ेगा।
धूप भी
ये
लगेगा,
ये
हैं? धूप भी लगेगा, उसमें केमिकल्स भी लगेंगे, उसमें
आपको
मेहनत भी
और ये भी
लगेगी।
जानना पड़ेगा, बहुत सारे प्लांट्स हैं जो धूप नहीं पसंद करते हैं,
नहीं
उसे थोड़ा
पसंद
शेड
करते।
में रखना चाहिए। तो एज यू ग्रो थ्रू द प्रोसेस आपको पता चलेगा कि ये क्या है, वो क्या है,
और
उसका
कीड़े
लिमिटेशंस क्या
मकोड़े
है।
तो छोड़िए, सकत जी, कलकत्ता में सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम शंबूक है।
हाँ
उसके दांत नहीं होते हैं सब। वो घोंघा जो होता है, घोंघा, वो
हाँ
रात
हाँ,
को
वो
आके
आके
गले
सब
में
खा लेते हैं।
चिपक जाता है और पूरा चूस लेता है प्राण।
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
चलिए, अग्निहोत्री सर, प्लीज कंक्लूड, काइंडली कंक्लूड सर, वो बाद में देख
यस
लेंगे
सर,
हम।
यस सर, सर आज हम लोगों ने किचन गार्डन के टॉपिक पर चर्चा की है इस वेबिनार की, जिसमें कि टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स के बारे में विशेष रूप से आमंत्रित हमारे मैडम सन्याल जी और डॉक्टर बसु जी ने अपनी बहुत ही धारा प्रवाह और सार गर्भित प्रेजेंटेशन दिया, और ये बताया कि ये बहुत ही कॉमन मैन के लिए इजीएस्ट वे है अपने टाइम को यूटिलाइज करने का, अपने को बिजी और परिश्रमी बनाए रखने का, और साथ साथ ऑक्सीजन की उपलब्धता सहज सुलभ कराने के लिए। छोटी सी लागत लगती है, कई बार तो पौध मिल जाती है हमारे प्रेमनगर आश्रम में। कहते हैं पतंजलि क्या कहते हैं, आप 100 पौधे ले जाइए, पैदा करिए, पौध लगाइए। तो चाहे जो जिसकी चॉइस हो, चाहे वो किचन गार्डन के नाम पर फ्रूट्स के हैं, फ्लावर्स के हैं, या अपने दूसरे ऑर्नामेंटल है, बहुत ही अच्छे मिलते हैं। स्पेशली आजकल जो अपना स्नेक प्लांट है, स्मोक को देखते हुए उसको हम डाइनिंग टेबल पर भी रख सकते हैं और वो ग्रो करता है। लैक ऑफ ऑक्सीजन माने सनलाइट और पानी बहुत कम चाहिए होता है। ऐसे बहुत सारी व्यवस्थाएं हैं जिनमें हमें जुटना चाहिए, तभी आज हमारा जो किचन गार्डन का कॉन्सेप्ट है वो प्रैक्टिकल शेप ले पाएगा। बहुत बहुत सबका आभार, बहुत ही आभार, आपने बहुत ही अच्छी जानकारियां दी और सबको एक नई चेतना